Okay, in this video I'm going to go through how I tested lights and how I installed them onto my layout. And here's my setup. There's a switch in the lower left, and there's a building in the upper right which has some lights in it. And on the right hand side there's a little blue circuit which is a potentiometer, and somewhere in there is a little green LED. And I'm trying to get these all to work together. Here I've applied power, and you can see that the LED is lit up, and if you look in the building you'll see that there's some pink on the bottom, which is the floor, and that indicates that the light is on. Okay, this is my test setup for lights. What I plan to do is create a panel with an on-off switch with a green LED to show that power is on, and then in here you can see the lights are on. So if I flip off the switch here, everything goes off. Turn the switch on, I get interior lights, and then I have here a little pot that I can adjust to change the lights in the building. So as I turn it, they dim. I don't have much, it's too big a resistor in it, but you can see it gets brighter that way. Anyway, that's been my project for today. Now I have to figure out how to get all this onto the layout. Okay. And this is what my workspace looks like. I have a few workbenches. This is the one I do soldering and track work and other kind of stuff on. You can see it's probably messier than it's ever been, but I'm experimenting with a bunch of different stuff, so I've got things all over the place. I sort of know where they are. Here's a top view of what the board's going to look like. You can see I've got 6 switches. 4 of them have potentiometers that are very resistance, and holes where there's LEDs in. Here I've applied power to the panel and flipped them all on so you can see that the LEDs work. Now those are super bright, so if you stare straight at them, yes, they're bright. But they're going to go over the layout, and they're going to be at waist height, and they're under a bit of a lip. So the only place that's really bright is on the wall behind me where they shine through. And here we have 3 of the lights on and 3 off. You can figure that out in binary if you want, although it's only 6 bits. I guess it's octal. Anyway, you can see I can selectively flip lights on and off. And this is taken from the reverse side, so you can see that the 3 lights are shining through there. And you can see the bridging that I've done in order to connect things together. Okay, on here you can see the power plug-in is on the right hand side. Along the bottom there's a bridge that goes from switch to switch to switch, which is the positive. Then coming out of the middle there's a wire that goes to the potentiometer, and then from the potentiometer is free to go out, or it comes straight out of the middle in order to hook up to the layout. Across the top, each of the green LEDs picks up power from the middle pole as well, and middle pole of the on-off switch, and then there's a bridge that goes all the way across to the negative terminal of the power. This is a better view of the bridging. You can see the copper along the bottom. Again, that's the positive input to each of my switches. This also shows the LED coming out of the middle in each of the cases, going over into the LED, and then coming out of the LED is that bridge across the very top, which is fed into the negative power supply. The free wire that's coming out in 4 of them from the potentiometer and 2 of them directly from the switch will then be positive power that goes to the layout. In order to connect to the layout, there's a small connector leading from each of the switches. For the negative, it's hard to see here, but it is soldered to that bridge at the very top, so you can see some black wires going up there. The red wires, which are the positive, connect to the free wires that were coming out either from the middle of the potentiometer or from the middle of the switch, depending on whether it's got a potentiometer with a switch or not. And then we cover all the bare wire with some liquid electrical tape. That just prevents any potential short from behind. There's nothing that should normally short out, but just in case, I use the liquid electrical tape to make sure. Then we install it on the layout, and the red tape across the top there is a strain relief. So each of the connector wires that comes off, and if you look in on the left hand side, you can see one of the connector wire ends. Anyway, that's a strain relief in there. On the upper right, you can see where I've made a connection, so you can see how that looks. And the whole layout is tilted up now, and there's enough room for me to tilt the layout up and disconnect and connect those wires. Under the table view again, this time looking up, you can see the bottom of the layout and my fingers on one of the connectors, so you can see the size of it. If you look to the left, you can see where the wires are coming underneath the layout and coming into that connector. And this is with one of the lights turned on. You can see the green light and the projection onto the wall. And here's the front view. You can see the left-hand toggle switch has been flipped up. The green LED is on, indicating that there's power into the circuit. Now that the panel's installed and working, here's a shot of my layout where the one toggle switch controls the outside lights for this part of the site. Here's another outside shot, just at a different angle. You can see the outside lights are on for this particular one. I now have the building in place, and this particular shot, there are no lights on either in the building or anywhere else. So now you can see the building with the building lights on only, no exterior lights on. There's 3 in there. Remember, I can dim those if I want to. Now we have exterior lights on only. There's one on the front porch. There's one in the rear. You can kind of see the glow around the corner. And then there's a bright green one on that sign. And those can be dimmed as well, but all 3 dim the same. Remember, this particular angle is looking horizontally at it. You wouldn't normally see that. You'd be looking down on the layout more. So that would reduce the intensity of these lights. And now we have just the street lights on. There's one bright one at the back there, as you can see. There's one off to the right hidden by that mountain. And you can kind of see the one off to the left that lights up the front of kit transfer. And now we have all 3 sets of lights on. So you've got the interior lights, you've got the exterior street lamps, and then you have the porch light and the light on the sign as well. So this shows a further away look where you're looking down from the end of the layout. You can see the sign light on, the porch light on, the interior lights, and the exterior lights. Same shot as before, except now I've turned down, using the potentiometers on it, and turned down the intensity of those external lights. And the bright green one is still pretty bright, so I may turn that down, but if I do, the porch light comes down as well. Anyway, that's my quick little video on the lighting that I've got set up. That takes care of the one area up there where the little building is. Now I've got all of the town area, which you can't see, it's in darkness to the right. I got 3 more toggle switches left, so I'll use one for the street lights. I'll use one for the buildings along one side. There'll be 6, and then I'll use another toggle switch for the buildings on the other side. That'll be another 6. Of course, I'll think about it in the meantime, and I may change that number and add more, but that's where we're at now. Anyway, as I say, thanks for watching. Bye.